Hey everybody, so today we're going to talk a little bit about the distance formula, which is the other piece of the puzzle. It goes along with midpoint. Oh, it's focusing, there we go, okay. And we're going to basically use this formula to calculate the distance between 2 points. So for example, let's say we had a line segment, right? And this was somewhere on the coordinate plane, on the XY axis, okay? And you had some coordinates. You could use those coordinates to calculate the points, distance from each other, right? If you had a grid, you could actually use the Pythagorean Theorem and create a right triangle, right? I'm going to use this, let's call this A, this would be B, and this would be C. And you could actually use the Pythagorean Theorem, which is pretty cool. Okay, but in this case, we're not able to do that. Let's just say we're given 2 coordinates, okay? Let's see if I can get this to stop fiddling about here. Okay, here we go. So let's go ahead and we'll plug in some points. Let's just say, for example, this is 2, 5, and this is, I don't know, we'll call that 7, 12, something like that. Does that make sense? Yeah, that makes sense. So we're going to use these 2 points, 7, 12, and 2, 5. We're going to calculate how far apart they are. Okay, that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to rewrite those points here. We're going to say 2, 5. That's terrible. Let's try that again. 2, 5. And 7, 12. Those are our 2 points. We want to know the distance between the two. So what we need to do is actually assign variables. So we're going to say this is x1 and y1. And this will be x2 and y2. We're going to plug these points into our distance formula right over here. So we're going to say d is equal to square root of. Our x2 value is going to be 7. And our x1 value is going to be 2. So it's going to be 7 take away 2 squared plus, and our y sub 2 is going to be 12. And our y sub 1 is going to be 5. Okay, so it's really important that when you're doing this, you label your variables, you label your points ahead of time. So you assign the variables here. If you skip this step, it's very likely you can make a mistake here. Like a lot of students, when they do this, they're going to say 2 minus 5 and 7 take away 12, which is obviously not the case. But when you do not assign your variables, that's usually what happens to a lot of people. So make sure you take the time to rewrite the points here and assign the variables. That way when you go here, it's plug and play. It's super simple when you do that. Okay, so let's go ahead and follow our order of operations here. So 7 take away 2 is of course 5. So 5 squared, and 12 take away 5 is of course going to be 7. 7 squared, 5 squared is 25. 7 squared is 49. Let's add those together. 14, carry the 1, 74. Did I mess that up? Nope, I didn't. Cool. So radical 74. So the distance between these 2 points is the square root of 74. Now, let's see if we can simplify that radical. What's divisible? What goes into this? So we know we can divide it by 2, right? So that's going to be 37. 2 and 37, nope, that's nothing else we can do with that. So this is going to stay like this, radical 74. So the distance between these 2 points is the square root, excuse me, of 74. If we wanted to estimate that, let's say we wanted to kind of like calculate what number, like what integer that's close to. My hands are filthy. Jeez, look at that. We know that radical 74 lies between radical 81, and radical, let's see what's 9, so radical 64. Just in between those two, and it's closer to this one, which is 9, right? And this is 8. So it'd be somewhere in between 8 and 9, closer to 9, right? If we wanted to estimate that. But that's how you would solve for distance, okay? I'll go ahead and do one more, just in case people need another example. So we're going to go ahead and rewrite that distance formula here. So we're going to say d equals, this will be example 2. So d equals x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Put the light on for this, or the light just went out. And then plus y sub 2 minus y sub 1. And let's go ahead, let's try some negative numbers here this time. Let's go with 6 comma negative 2. And negative 5 comma 4. So those are going to be our 2 points. Okay, so we're going to assign the variables. So x1, y1, and x2, y2. And now we're just going to simply plug these in. So our x sub 2 is -5, so square root of -5 minus, oh, I should have done that in red. OCD can handle that. All right, so then my x sub 1 is going to be 6, so -5 minus 6. The reason I do it in different colors is you can tell when the signs go along with the number, if that makes any sense. For me, it helps me. So so y sub 2 is 4 minus, and our y sub 1 is -2. This is why I did that. Because a lot of students, what they do is they'll actually put 4 minus 2. And they'll forget that there's a minus sign to begin with here. So you can't forget that. It's very important. When you subtract a negative, you're actually going to be adding those together. So that's going to become 4 plus 2. Okay. Now, -5 minus 6 is going to be -11. And then 4 plus 2 is, of course, going to be 6. But I guess I'll write up the whole step just so we don't lose anything. So that's actually 4 plus 6. And then -11 squared, I'm going to do it at the same time, plus 10 squared. Okay, -11 squared is going to be 121. And 10 squared is 100. So 221, radical 221. So is that number divisible by anything? Let's check. Is it divisible by 2? Nope. Divisible by 3? It's not divisible by 3 because if we add these up, it's 5. 5 is not divisible by 3. Is it divisible by 4? No, because it's not divisible by 2. Is it divisible by 5? No, because it does not end in 0 or 5. Is it divisible by 6? No, because it does not end in, it's not divisible by 2 or 3 together. Is it divisible by 7? No, it's not. There's a trick for that, but I'm not going to explain that because it's crazy. And it's not 8 or 9. Is 9 divided? Let's see. No, it doesn't because 3 doesn't divide it. So that's it. Yeah. So radical 221 is the distance. It cannot be simplified. So yeah. So hopefully these two examples help with the homework tonight. It's due on Thursday. We meant to go over it with midpoint, but we kind of ran out of time. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions. Hopefully that was helpful. Thanks, guys.